Hello and welcome to a Monday afternoon edition of Blind Eye Live. I am your host, Hunter King, Blind Eye himself, and we will start this off with a programming note that I feel like, as much as I like the morning streams, I don't know right now if I have the ability to run 2 shows a day every day. So what I've decided is Tuesdays and Thursdays I will run a morning show. Because Thursdays I might not be able to make like an afternoon show every week. So we'll see. But right now, tentatively, Tuesdays, Thursdays, I've got stuff going on Monday morning. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, those are going to be my like 8 a.m. Time slot shows. So you can probably expect multiple shows most Tuesdays and Thursdays, especially Tuesdays. So, that being said, we've got an interesting show. I'm not going to get into the box scores for the weekend games, but I did want to recap them and talk about the state of what's shaping up to be one of the best playoff rounds ever. I mean, super entertaining right now. We've got game fours in Bucks Celtics and Grizzlies Warriors tonight. So those will be interesting, and then we'll be going back to the top seeded teams. We'll be going back home for game fives, I guess in the middle of the week. Anyway, so we'll talk NBA playoffs, and then we also got some news stories. Earl Thomas is in real hot water. Warrant has been issued for his arrest. As of my last check on this, because I saw this yesterday, he's not in custody yet. I haven't seen anything about him being in custody today. So, but a warrant has been issued for the arrest of Earl Thomas. We will get into that story later as well. First, I wanted to hit some quick news headlines in some other matters here. Sources, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Sources have said that Nikola Jokic is going to win his second MVP award, and everyone who just hates Nikola Jokic because he's a European who's not chiseled from stone is excited about him winning the MVP. Those people are mad. I forgot how I worded that because I was searching for the way to describe him. There's this weird, just hatred for Nikola Jokic from a segment of NBA fans, and I think it's because he's from Eastern Europe. That's what I've been able to tell because, and people who hate advanced stats. Here's the funny thing about that. All those people that are upset about the advanced stats should be just as upset about Joel Embiid then, because all the advanced stats love him too. But apparently they just don't love him as much as Jokic. So that's the problem. Well, here's the other thing. Giannis Antetokounmpo in most of those is also ahead of Embiid, which is why Embiid was third on my MVP, or third for me in MVP this year. Jokic is a deserving winner. People can get upset about however many wins. Oh my goodness. The only person in the last 40 years to win less games during his MVP season was Russell Westbrook. And he had to average a triple-double. Yeah, and he touched the ball. Somehow he managed to hold more possession of the ball than Nikola Jokic did to put up his numbers. The other thing is, let's just be frank. Westbrook Westbrook's never been as good as Jokic, nor as impactful on winning. Ever. Ever. So, you know. Like, and, you know, people talk about advanced stats. Just the classic old box stats really love Nikola Jokic, too. He did something that has never been done before this year. He created a club for no one has ever scored as many points, grabbed as many boards, and had as many assists in a season as Nikola Jokic did this year. Like, he cleared benchmarks that no one's ever cleared before. Jokic is deserving. Like, this Nuggets team without Jokic would have been worse off, I believe, than the Thunder would have been without Westbrook during his MVP season. And that says something. Now, some people might disagree with that, but you'd be replacing... Like, here's the Nuggets without Jokic this year. Just going to do, like, their top 7 guys without him. Monty Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, J. Michael Green, Bones Highland, Facundo Campazzo, and then I'll throw one other guy. I'm like having trouble naming another player on their team right now. Like a forward on their team right now. But I mean, that's the Nuggets. The Thunder, the year that Westbrook won the MVP. Now, note, these guys weren't as good as they are now. But, well, one was much better. So, Russell Westbrook's team that year had Victor Oladipo, who... I think you could argue if Westbrook had been out of the picture, Oladipo might have started having his breakout sooner. They had Steven Adams. Peak Steven Adams. By the way, Steven Adams isn't even 30 yet. If I'm not mistaken right now. People probably think he's like 35. No, I think he's like 28, 29. I think he's like 29. They had Domantas Sabonis on that team. Oh man, see, doing this off the top of my head's tough, but dadgummit. Yeah, everybody's like, see, the Thunder. It's like, no, I've just looked at the Nuggets roster for this year recently. Man, who else was on that Thunder team? Because I want to say that I think what's his name? Was it Anthony Roberson or the great defensive player, Andre Roberson? I'm pretty sure he was healthy that year. So they had like an elite defensive player on that team. Man, I'm trying to... Man, I'm really trying to place everybody who's on that Thunder team. Anyway, you've got comparable teams. If Westbrook was worthy of an MVP award that year, I would say Jokic was. Or, I mean, it's definitely this year. And, I mean, I think there's no question that Jokic is deserving this year. And I think the best case against him is Giannis. Here's the other thing. It's not like the Sixers won that many more games. I think they finished the season with like 52 wins. If I'm remembering correctly. I mean, you're talking about the 4th seed, I believe, in the East. It's 4th or 5th seed in the East. The Nuggets were the 6th seed. Like, the Nuggets dodged the play-in tournament in the Western Conference, despite not having Jamal Murray the entire season and not having Michael Porter Jr. for pretty much the entire season. Extremely impressive. So, that's a big headline for today. Let me see. Sorry, I'm doing this instead of pulling up ESPN and giving their advertisements a go on my channel. We have So Monday Night Football's doing a big doubleheader week 2. Titans Bills headlining. That'll be a great game. Titans have won the last 2 big matchups between us and the Bills. The New York Giants have cut James Bradbury. I guess for cap reasons, like he's a good player. There are people like I saw someone who had the Giants as a playoff team this year. If you're cutting like good veteran players from a non-playoff team, how are you going to make the playoffs? Sorry, I feel like my camera's not centered. I don't know. I can't tell. See, this is the problem with being a blind man and setting up your own cameras and adjusting your own cameras. It's hard to get things straight and feel confident about whether things are lined up right. Anyway, they tried to trade him. Couldn't trade him. You want to know why? Because everyone knew you were going to cut him. That's the thing with all these NFL teams. Why would I trade for someone that you're going to cut anyway? Because guess what? We know. Like, this has been a rumor for a while. No team was going to trade anything to the Giants. Because they're like, we can get him for nothing. And we're going to be able to get him at a cheaper price once you cut him. That's the other part of that equation too. I'm seeing Ravens fans, man, if we could just sign Jarvis Landry and James Bradbury this week, I won't ask for another player this year. It's like, yeah, I'd hope not, because you should be asking like for one of them maybe. Maybe this person I saw, like maybe they tweet about someone they should sign in free agent, like see right now, like pick up right now, like every day. Maybe multiple times a day. Some people are delusional, but it is kind of interesting to use that to just kind of talk about some players who are still on the market right now. Kind of bigger name players are still on the market right now. Just the wide receiver market alone. Odell Beckham Jr. is still out there. Will Fuller is still out there. Although I can see why like people are tired of like either having to worry, is he going to test positive for PED? Wow, that was a stroke. PEDs? Or is he going to get hurt again? Get that. You've also got Jarvis Landry out there. You've got T.Y. Hilton still in the market, although it seems like Indianapolis really wants to bring him back for another year. Deshaun Jackson's still out there. He's going to catch like one, maybe two, like 40-plus yard touchdown passes. And that'll be literally all he does this year. Maybe. I mean, 2 TDs, like, but then it's like wasted snaps the rest of the time. Like, I don't necessarily see the benefit of Deshaun Jackson at this point. There's another receiver that another veteran, like quality veteran, or seemingly quality veteran receiver out there. I think, I could be wrong, I think A.J. Green's on the market still. I don't think he's re-signed with the Cardinals, and I don't think he's retired, to my knowledge. Cole Beasley, veteran slot receiver, is on the market. Offensive line, I believe Dwayne Brown is still out there, and he is not retired yet. I don't believe Jason Peters is retired yet either. So those are 2 big name. Peters, to me, seems like a surefire Hall of Famer. Brown is, at the very least, in the Hall of the extremely good, the Hall of borderline Hall of Famers, if you will. Gronk is still potentially out there, although he might, if he doesn't retire, he might actually still be under contract with the Bucks. So, I'd need to check that. I'm not even going to get into the veteran running backs in the market. There are names but they're mostly washed. James Bradbury now joins the cornerback market. Oh, man. I had, some stuff I was looking at earlier this morning, and now, some names, and now they're just gone. And I closed out that tab earlier, so don't have it pulled up. Let's see here. To do anything else? Okay. Here's some cool news. Dick Vitale will be the Jimmy V Award recipient at the ESPYs this year. After considering his fights with cancer and coming back this year. Deserving winner. Ron Rivera is being awarded the George Halas Adversity Award. Once again, for him overcoming cancer. Let's see. Oh, and I talked about this last week. So Dan Ventrell, I don't think this had dropped Friday. Yeah, this dropped over the weekend. This was not out when I streamed. Dan Ventrell, the former team president for the Raiders that the Raiders parted ways with on Friday, he is claiming that owner Mark Davis ignored allegations of a hostile work environment and pushed him out of the organization. And ousted him when he went to the NFL about these allegations. So, this is interesting. So, that's... Mark Davis is, of course, denying this. We have no idea who's right in that situation, but, that's interesting. Let's see. Anything else before I get into what I want? Okay. Okay. Let's get into some NBA playoff stuff. With that, I'm going to actually bring up the stuff. All right. Okay. So, big news out of the weekend. Should I say, to get into the background of some of these stories over here on the right, the Sixers and Mavs won both their games over the weekend on Friday night and Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon, whatever. And they have tied their series. The Sixers' defense was dominant Friday night. I believe they held the Heat to under 80 points. It was, the defense was incredible. The Warriors also, they took the series lead in Game 3, throttling Memphis. I think it was 142 to 112. But in that game, John Morant got double teamed. The ball was knocked out of his hand. He got possession back, corralled the ball. Jordan pulled in, grabs his knee, and I get he's trying to corral the ball. His hand gets nowhere near the ball. At that point, you don't then grab, it's not like he clipped the guy's knee. He grabbed Morant's knee and pulled on his knee, injuring Morant. Morant is unlikely for Game 4. That has been the word, is that he is highly doubtful for Game 4. And note, they are on the road in Golden State for this, or for Games 3 and 4. Yeah, and like it says, the headline says, if Grizzlies Morant likely out Game 4, according to Taylor Jenkins, their head coach. The Mavs played awesome this weekend. The whole Luka has no help thing maybe will die down a little because of that. But during Game 4, we still don't know exactly what happened last night. What we do know and what we have video of is security having to hold Chris Paul and others back, but mostly Chris Paul back, from a young male fan who seemed to be there with his family, who had allegedly gotten into it with Chris Paul's mother and wife, and at the very least put his hands on Chris Paul's mother. And potentially the wife, but we know the mom. It's even clear on video later, Chris Paul fouled out of this game and was talking to security, and you could clearly say, he put hands on my mom. He put hands on my mom. And and having seen the video, I'm fairly certain it may be a teenage boy, maybe he's college age, but at the very least he seemed like he was there with his mother, because his mother, to her credit, very much was, trying or getting his son out of that situation, not yelling, or didn't seem like she was fighting with security at all, just trying to get him out of there. Chris Paul's kids were there and, witnessed apparently all this going down, according to Dave McMenamin, reporter for ESPN. Really just bizarre event to happen at the Mavs game last night. Honestly, just rather shocking, to be completely honest. We don't know the full story. We don't know if anything we don't know if he was provoked, and if so, what provoked him. But just a really bizarre situation last night. We also have news that the Sacramento Kings have made a decision on their next head coach. They dismissed Luke Walton like 17 games into the season or something like that. 20 games, like in the first 20 games. He should have already been fired from Sacramento. I can't think of a more disappointing coach in recent memory than Luke Walton. I don't necessarily think he got a fair shake in Los Angeles, but he got more than a fair shake in Sacramento. So the Sacramento Kings have hired Golden State Warriors assistant Mike Brown as head coach. Now, for people who are like, Mike Brown? Really? Him again? Yeah, and it's been longer than you think since Mike Brown was head coach. So the Sacramento Kings have hired Golden State Warriors assistant Mike Brown as the franchise's next coach, the team announced Monday. I actually think this is a good hire. The Kings finalized a 4-year contract with Brown on Saturday after meeting with him over 2 days last week, sources said. Brown comes to the Kings with a clear organizational mandate, end the longest playoff drought in NBA history, and return the Kings to the postseason for the first time in 16 years. Yeah, that's been the mandate of every coach that's come in there. Brown will finish the Warriors' playoff run before moving on to full-time duties with the Kings, sources said. He comes with 8 seasons of head coaching experience and nearly 2 decades of assistant coaching runs under Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr. Before joining Kerr as an assistant with the Warriors 7 years ago. That's another thing. Mike Brown has been here since, I believe, Kerr's like at the very, let's see, 21, 22, 120, 19, 20, 18, 19, 17, 18, 16, 17, 15, 16. So yeah. So he's been there for basically the entire dynasty. Before joining Kerr as an assistant 7 years ago, Brown had a 347 and 216 record in 8 seasons as head coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers and Los Angeles Lakers. Which a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, because he had LeBron. And I believe during this time with the Lakers, I think that was during the Kobe era. Unless I'm just really wrong, which I don't think I am. Brown was the NBA's Coach of the Year in 2007 when he led the Cavaliers to an Eastern Conference championship. That was during LeBron's first run with the Cavs. That was the year they went to the NBA Finals, and LeBron carried one of the worst rosters in league history to ever make it to a Finals. You want to know part of the reason why? Because Mike Brown is an amazing defensive coach. Brown was 42 and 29 in parts of 2 seasons with the Lakers before getting dismissed 5 games in the 2012-13 season. Yeah. Yep, that happened to him somewhat unfairly, in my opinion. So he followed Mike D'Antoni. He followed in his shoes. I mean, that's a winning record. That's a playoff record right there over his time. Like, that's not even a full season. So he came in part way through a season, and then part way into the next season, fired. I mean, that's not even a full season sample size right there. Well, I mean, that's 71 games. Before getting dismissed 5... Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it says that. 5 games into the 2012-13 season. Because it was pretty early, like... I think it was, like, the beginning of December of the previous season, I think. Something like that. Brown returned to Cleveland for a 33-49 season in 2013-14 before getting fired after 1 season. Which, of course, if you remember, he was fired because LeBron James was going back to Cleveland and he didn't want to play for Mike Brown again. Brown has a 47-36 career playoff record. Now, the Kings have just been struggling to find a coach. Let's just be completely honest. They've been searching for one forever. And they've tried everything. Basically, they've tried successful head coaches. They've tried up and coming assistant coaches. I think Mike Brown is due for another shot here. I say due, like, no one maybe necessarily is due one, but Mike Brown, like, they don't talk enough about how important Mike Brown has been to the Warriors' success. He has coordinated that defense the entire time, and he's a great communicator. Like, is he the best offensive tactician? No. But with the modern NBA and how things are really run now, and the average fan is smarter now too, he will have some person that he brings in, and who knows, he might try and pull an assistant from the Warriors staff. Or he will find someone who will architect the offense so he can focus on the defense and creating the identity and culture of the team. And if people can hate on Mike Brown all they want, he does. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, he's proven in the past that he's a really good culture builder. So, I mean, if anything, look at that run with LeBron, with young LeBron in that first stint in Cleveland. You look at what LeBron has done time and time again since he's left Cleveland, and kind of proven that he's a toxic leader. I'd argue that maybe LeBron doesn't understand just how much Mike Brown did during that run. Brown has his weaknesses, absolutely. But though his weaknesses can be mitigated. And I think he's very self-aware. We're going to get to that in a second. There's some other news stories I want to hit first. So this is another one I saw. Ex-Michigan State Spartan star Adrian Payne dies in a shooting. Former Michigan State star Adrian Payne was shot and killed in Orlando, Florida, early Monday morning, the Orange County Sheriff's Office said. He was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Payne, who was the 15th pick in the draft by the Atlanta Hawks in the 2014 NBA draft, was 31. Per local authorities, a man named Lawrence Doherty has been arrested for the shooting on a first-degree murder warrant. Doherty stayed on the scene and spoke with police before he was transported to jail. Payne was a member of the All-Big Ten second team in 2 of his 4 seasons, 2013 and 14, with Tom Izzo's squad. He averaged 16.4 points per game and 7.3 rebounds per game for the Spartans and led the team to the Elite Eight in the 2013-14 season. And despite being a senior, people thought he was actually a really safe draft pick who had the ability to play inside and outside, be a solid rebounder and defender. Just people thought he was going to be a solid pro. Didn't happen. Golden State Warriors star Draymond Green, who was Payne's teammate for 2 seasons at Michigan State, tweeted broken heart emojis on Monday. The 6'10" standout played 4 seasons in the NBA with multiple teams. In 2018, he was waived by the Orlando Magic after he was named in a report by ESPN's Outside the Lines that stated he had been involved in an alleged sexual assault at Michigan State in 2010. No charges were filed in that case. Yeah, I remember that. I actually remember that now. Payne never played in the NBA again, but spent the last few years of his career overseas. During his time at Michigan State, Payne befriended an 8-year-old girl with cancer named Lacey Halsworth, who became an inspiration for him and the team. Halsworth helped the team cut down the nets when it won the Big Ten tournament in 2014. Weeks later, Halsworth died. Payne released a statement then about her death. Words cannot express how much I already miss Lacey, he said. She's my sister and will always be a part of my life. She taught me how to fight through everything with a smile on my face, even when things were going wrong. Remember that too. September, Payne tweeted that he was taking a break from basketball because his 4-year-old son, Amari, had to undergo a brain procedure. He said basketball was not as important as his family. I'll be back doing what I love soon, Payne wrote in his statement. Basketball has my heart. Amari is my heartbeat. Dude. Yeah, I forgot that the reason he was out of the NBA, which he wasn't great, but he had kind of started to seemingly make some strides. I want to say in like year 3, but yeah, I forgot Outside the Lines released that report, and then nothing ever happened because, once again, something from 2010 that also just didn't line up at all with the guy's character. But we will see. You okay over there, cat? Man, that just sucks. And he's got a 4-year-old son that doesn't have a dad anymore. Well, I will keep updated on those. Man, that one was actually sadder than I think this one's going to be. So, I've got a couple things pulled up for this one. This one's big news, and this will probably take up the rest of the show for today. So, let me check the chat real quick. Don't want to ignore anybody. Alright. And I will, during this, periodically check chat. But we're going to start with ESPN, then we'll go to the Austin Statesman. Arrest warrant issued for former All-Pro safety Earl Thomas. An arrest warrant for Earl Thomas has been issued in Austin, Texas. Police say the former Seattle Seahawks and Baltimore Ravens safety violated a court protective order by sending threatening messages to a woman about her and her children, according to the Austin American-Statesman. Reason I wanted to save the Austin American-Statesman is I believe it's a longer one. I figured this one I'll be able to get through quicker and give kind of the overview. Court records show the warrant, signed April 27th, charges Thomas with a third-degree felony for at least 2 violations within 12 months of a protective order from May 2021 that stated he could only communicate with the woman through a co-parenting phone app, according to the paper. Which this is common when there are... So, to give some we'll get into the backstory here in a minute. But if there has been violence or significant issue of threats or abuse or whatever, not just one way, but even both ways between two people, if they have like a child custody agreement, it is common for I'm not sure what the phone app is, but it's common for there to be, or there is an app that is used for, communicating this stuff, and you are not to communicate about anything other than your kids, picking up, dropping up, doing stuff, or things to do with the kids. And you are only supposed to talk on that app about those things. Not supposed to communicate any other way. Tyler Dolezal, who represents Thomas in his ongoing divorce, told the paper that the arrest warrant stems from Thomas reaching out to the woman to see their children. Nina Thomas filed for divorce from Earl Thomas in November 2020. Now, listen to this. They were constantly and collectively working together to see his kids, Dolezal told the paper. I don't really understand how he could be in violation by working together to visit with his children. This is lawyer speak. he has got to represent his client, but he's not telling you the truth. And I think, and I'll use this example. Anyone who's followed any of kind of the major trials, like the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, or the big one in the news right now, like, and I think it's even more apropos here, the way the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial is going. There have been repeated instances by both of the lead attorneys for Amber Heard of them basically bullying witnesses, not allowing them to answer questions because they want a specific answer, they want it answered a certain way, cutting them off, objecting, whatever, and trying to basically frame the events the way they want them framed and getting a yes or no answer, basically creating their own reality. What you'll find here in a second is, I believe, if I'm remembering from reading this earlier, because I've not read the Austin Statesman version because I wanted to do that one a little more live. But, as he said, I don't really understand how he could be in violation by working together to visit with his children. He's setting up like, well, they're supposed to do this. Well, but according to the paper, the Austin American Statesman, the woman told police that Thomas recently began threatening her and her children via text, including one message on April 18th informing her that he had just obtained 2 handguns, and another later that day in which he told her he will kick her ass. Now, here's the thing. If those text messages exist, that's violation of the court order. Very obviously. Very obviously. And you couldn't lie about this. All this, if you sent a message on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, if you sent a text message, if you've called somebody, now, they won't have necessarily every word you said. That's not what I'm saying, but they have the log. That stuff is kept. You can delete all the stuff you want on your end. That stuff is kept for legal reasons for a minimum of a certain amount of time by law. Or at the very least, for legal liability reasons. So it would be really dumb of her to lie. Here's the other thing. She probably showed them the text, and that's why there's a warrant out. Otherwise, if she didn't produce the evidence, nothing would be happening. The Austin American Statesman also cited separate court records, including that... Sorry, the Austin American Statesman also cited separate court records indicating that Thomas was arrested in February 2021 on a misdemeanor charge of unlawfully carrying a weapon, which would have stemmed from either him lacking the proper licensure or because of or some court order or some probationary reason, which the American Statesman will probably get into further. Thomas agreed to forfeit the weapon according to the paper, and the case was dismissed earlier this year. Thomas, who turns 33 on Saturday, told ESPN's Adam Schefter on April 22nd he wants to resume his NFL career. Well, good job, moron. The 7-time Pro Bowl selection and 3-time first-team All-Pro has not played in a game since the 2019 season, nor will he ever again. The year he signed a 4-year, $55 million contract with the Ravens in free agency. Baltimore released him in August of 2020 during training camp after an altercation in which Thomas punched teammate and current Ravens starter Chuck Clark during a training camp practice because he got on to Chuck Clark about something. Clark told him, I'm doing everything correctly and you're the one failing here. And that's when things went up in smoke for Thomas. In April of 2020, and I remember when this story hit because this was big. And you know what? I'm going to pull that up and we'll probably read about that too because this gives really good backstory for what's going on here. In April 2020, Nina Thomas was arrested in Austin after pointing a loaded handgun at Earl Thomas during a heated argument. She was charged with first-degree felony burglary of a residence with intent to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. After telling police, she confronted her husband because she believed he was cheating on her. This is actually misleading. That's not what happened. That's an interesting way because she believed he was cheating. It wasn't that she believed, and we'll get into this. She caught him cheating. Now, you don't point a loaded handgun at someone, but once again, this is a really condensed and sloppy way of talking about that entire situation. So, let's move on. Well, that's weird. Why would the link not work? That's ESPN's link. Huh. Did my internet go down all of a sudden? Nope, I'm still up. So that's interesting. Okay. Well, I guess we'll search the Nina Thomas thing here in a minute. Okay, so here is the Austin American Statesman. Their headline, arrest warrant issued in Austin for former Longhorn NFL star Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas is also from just down the interstate here from me. He's from Orange, Texas. An Austin judge has issued an arrest warrant for formal the whole, violating a court protective order, sending threatening messages to a woman about her and her children. According to court records, Magistrate George Thomas, that's ironic that he is also named Thomas, signed a warrant on April 27th charging Thomas with a third-degree felony for allegedly violating a protective order 2 or more times within 12 months. The case has been assigned to a Travis County State District Court. As of Saturday afternoon, Thomas had not been booked into the Travis County Jail. So, and to my knowledge, I hadn't seen anything yet since then. The warrant was issued just days after Thomas, a 7-time Pro Bowl safety, told an ESPN reporter on April 22nd that he had done it. Yeah, gotcha. Let's see. Don't want to talk or reread same information over and over. Thomas, who played at University of Texas from 2008 to 2010, owns a home in West Austin with his estranged wife. His arrest affidavit says Thomas also spends time in the southeast Texas city of Orange, where he grew up before coming to the University of Texas. Terry Dolezal, an Austin lawyer and sports agent who represents Thomas in their ongoing his ongoing divorce, I'm going to say that instead of and, said he left a message for Thomas to let him know about the arrest warrant. He said the warrant stems from Thomas reaching out to his wife to see their children. Let's see here. They were consciously and collectively working together to see his kids. I mean, once again, that's just a weird way to put it. Together for him to see his kids, but I already read that quote. In the arrest affidavit, police allege Thomas violated a protective order that was issued in May 2021 by a Travis County civil court judge. That order stated that Thomas could communicate with the woman only through a co-parenting phone application. The woman told police that Thomas refused. This is left out of the ESPN article. Listen to this. The woman told police that Thomas refuses to download the application and instead reaches out to her by phone, and he arrives unannounced at places she frequents. Now, I'm just saying, either he's not really trying hard to see his kids, or he's texting her a lot, and probably has been threatening her. Now, I mean, this is speculation. I'm sorry. But that makes me think, like, well, was he threatening to try and say that she was the one violating the court order or something? That's interesting. Close that off. Okay. Recently, the woman told police, the woman is Nina Thomas. Like, this is needless protection. This is Nina Thomas, his wife, or his estranged, soon-to-be ex-wife. Recently, the woman told police Thomas began sending her text messages that threatened the woman and her children. And I will eventually get into some speculation on this, but not until we've read through everything. On April 18th, police say Thomas texted the woman that he obtained 2 handguns earlier that day. Later, he texted, waiting on hand and foot is why I'll kick your ass. What does that even mean? The next day, police say Thomas texted, I hope... Now, see, this is another thing. ESPN deliberately was leaving things out of this article. And also, like, the way they're framing this, the police say... So either... This is interesting framing, because this is saying, the next day, police say Thomas texted. Not she says, police say. Thomas texted, and these are in quotes. They've seen the text. I hope you in the car with him and the kids and y'all drive off the road. That same day, police say he texted, I'ma let my mama and my cousins poison they ass, referring to their children. One, I guarantee you his mother, and probably his cousins too, but his mother would not do such a thing. If so, that'd be crazy, and also makes sense where old Thomas gets it from. Once again, this is not she's claiming. The police have these texts, like, and this has been given to the Austin American Statesman. Like, these are in quotes. So just for a series of events, or just tweets or texts that he has made to her since April 18th. A text claiming he had obtained 2 handguns, and then later that day, waiting on hand and foot is why I'll kick your ass. The next day, which would have been April 19th, I hope you in the car with, I guess, her new guy, the kids, and y'all drive off the road. And I'm sorry for swearing on the show, but these are quotes. And I prefer not to censor what people have said unless I really think it's just horrendous. There are some words, obviously, I will not say. Hope you in the car with him and the kids, and y'all drive off the road. Same day. I'ma let my mama and my cousins poison they ass. Referring to his children. Their children. Some people shouldn't be allowed to reproduce. Imagine saying that about your kids. And I don't think this isn't fake. Like this is scary. Like, plain and simple. The woman told police Thomas suffered several concussions playing football. We're aware of that. And might have CTE, the term commonly used for brain degeneration caused by head trauma. Here's the other thing, though. He refused to download the app and was contacting her, and she didn't say anything until now. Because he threatened her. And the kids. That tells me that she was trying to make up for her wrongs. Or at least is trying to do right by her kids. Once again, I will find and I will pull up if they don't mention more about that situation between the two of them. And even goes as far as to say that she believes that this is because of CTE and basically seems like trying to give some kind of excuse for Thomas and saying he needs help. And maybe I'm reading a little into it there. That's my own speculation or opinion kind of coming in, but that's the way I'm reading this. According to additional court records, Thomas was arrested in Travis County in February 2021 on a misdemeanor charge for carrying a weapon unlawfully, which you can be carrying a weapon unlawfully for a number of reasons. He agreed to forfeit the weapon, and the case was dismissed in February 2022. Thomas's marital problems went public in May 2020, and this is the story I'm talking about here, or I was mentioning, when Austin police arrested his wife Nina after they say she pointed a loaded weapon at her husband's head after breaking into a vacation home and finding him with another woman. And see, once again, the way they word it compared to ESPN. I'm assuming this is that story, so I'm going to pull it up. Let's check. Let's see. Okay, that link actually works. So we might look into that one here in a minute. Also, after they say, so they could mean the police, they could also mean her and Earl. I'm going to assume maybe that's the police. So, that November, Nina filed for divorce from Thomas. The couple is listed as co-owners of a 12,000 square foot home in West Austin that they purchased in 2018. The property has $96,000 in delinquent taxes and penalties from last year, according to the county tax office, meaning Earl Thomas is probably not paying for it. I don't know exactly why he hasn't paid that, but I assume he's going to take care of that. Dolezal said there would be no reason for him not to. Man, I feel bad for Dolezal because he's having to basically having to deal with a moron for a client, apparently. And I'll say, there's a number of high-profile guys who get into their early 30s. Because, this has been happening. This has been going on 2 years of Earl Thomas, being like this, since he got into his 30s. Antonio Brown got into his 30s and lost his mind. No, I do not want to sign up for a subscription. Okay. Wife of Ravenstar. So we'll get into this and we'll talk a little more about everything to do with this story. Wife of Ravenstar Earl Thomas arrested after police say she pointed loaded gun at husband's head. That's the headline. This is from November 2020. Or no, not November. Event happened in April 2020, so 2 years ago. Austin, Texas. Baltimore Ravens star Earl Thomas is listed as the victim in a domestic violence incident last month in Austin, where his wife was arrested after police say she told them. Once again, this woman very least seems to be nothing but honest, even if it's at her own detriment. She told them she pointed a loaded weapon at her husband's head when she found him in bed with another woman. The incident, first reported by TMZ, happened in the early morning of April 13th at a rental home in East Austin in the 600 block of Brushy Street. Now, it's Brushy or Brushy? I'm trying to remember. I think it's Brushy. Now, I believe that's mentioned in the ESPN article as a vacation home. You're vacationing from West Austin to East Austin. No, it was a rental property. Police say they responded to that location and found Thomas's wife Nina chasing her husband in the parking lot with a knife. An arrest affidavit stated. Thomas, according to police, was carrying a pistol that they later determined he had taken away from Nina after she entered the home to confront her husband about cheating. Police ordered the Thomases to the ground and to drop their weapons, and the couple complied, the affidavit states. Nina Thomas, 30, at the time, 30, which I think at the time both of them were like 31, 30, was arrested and charged with first-degree family violence for burglary of a residence with intent to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. 2 women who police say accompanied Nina to the residence to confront her husband were charged with burglary of a residence. Oh. Court records show Nina Thomas was released from jail later in the day after posting $25,000 bail. An emergency protective order states she cannot have contact with Earl or the woman whom she found Earl in bed with for 60 days. Houston lawyer Jonathan Goins, who is listed as the attorney of record for Nina Thomas, issued a statement Thursday saying his client was wrongfully arrested. Interesting. They had right to arrest her just for chasing around with a knife in the parking lot. They didn't have to listen to anything else. We have already gathered information which controverts every single allegation made on the night in question, Goins said. We have begun working with the Travis County District Attorney's Office to ensure that these charges do not stick and Miss Thomas's pristine name is cleared. Okay. Which, notice, in all the other articles since, like, she was charged. Obviously, she wasn't convicted. We might do some digging on that as well. The Ravens said Thursday in a statement, we have come... I don't care about the Ravens statement. Nina Thomas is set to appear in court on June 8th for initial setting in the case. For an initial setting in the case. So that was like June 8th of 2021. That was supposed to happen. Not sure if it did or not. Man, I don't care about these videos playing. Wait, we'll just... Crap. Well, dadgummit. Can I go back? Yeah, there we go. I didn't realize I'd be closing out the article by doing that. Okay, here we are. Earl Thomas, who turned 31 Thursday, was not charged in the incident. He released a video Wednesday night on social media addressing the incident. Yeah, and I remember this. Instead of talking about us, just keep us in your prayers, Thomas said. Stuff like this happens. We try to live the best lives we possibly can, but sometimes it don't go as planned. Just pray for us as we go through this stuff. Yeah. Cheating on your wife is living the best lives we possibly can. Oh my God. This is just... Oh... I hate to laugh, but it's like if I don't, I'm just going to be super sad. Okay, I'm going to pause this stupid video. There we go. Okay. Thomas told police that he left the home he shares with Nina in the afternoon before the incident after an argument about him drinking too much alcohol. He said he called his brother to pick him up, and the two went to the downtown rental home to watch TV with two women, including one who Thomas told police he had been seeing for 3 or 4 months while he worked on his relationship with Nina. How are you working on your relationship with your wife if you're cheating on her? Man, the world we live in. So, this, once again, this is backstory to what is transpiring in the moment. Earl Thomas, according to his wife's affidavit, was awoken in bed with the other woman at around 1 a.m. when Nina entered the room and pointed a black pistol at him. Nina largely corroborated the events, telling police she put the gun to her husband's head to scare him, which is not good or correct or justifiable. Police say Nina told them she removed the magazine thinking the gun could not fire, but was unaware that the gun had a round in the chamber. Nina, according to police, admitted to disengaging the gun's safety. Once again, this is why people should not own guns if they don't know what they're doing. And that doesn't, should I say, if you're going to buy a gun, be trained, know what it does. If you're going to have a gun, know what it does. I'm very pro 2A. I don't want, stupid laws on the books. But, God, just know some basic gun safety. But she also wasn't thinking clearly in the moment. She was incensed. That's not an excuse. I mean, when you let anger control you, when you let anger drive your bus is going to go off the cliff. Nina told police, what? That is not how you should write that. Police say that Nina told them, would be a better way to put that, I think. I would put this as Austin PD, or according to Austin PD, Nina told them that she tracked her husband's whereabouts to the rental home through his Snapchat account, which showed several videos of Earl with the other woman. Two women who Nina brought to confront her husband were also taken into custody. Her sister, Kayla Baham Heiser, and her friend, Kamisha Carlo. Man, some names there. The ex-spouse of Earl Thomas's brother, Seth. Runs in the family. Who was with the football player at the rental home. Man, when you come bringing your brother's ex-wife Jeez, this story. Golly, Bill, this is nuts. Baham Heiser took footage of the incident with her phone that police reviewed. The video, according to police, shows Earl Thomas at the top of a staircase with Nina placing the gun within a foot of his head with her finger on the trigger. You don't point a gun at something you are not willing to destroy, kill, whatever. And no trigger discipline. Nina struck Earl in the nose before the video ended, police said. The video also showed Carlo attempting to attack a woman who was in the home with Seth Thomas. Like, if you're just trying to attack your ex-husband's, like, new girl, like, you already know he's a piece of crap, or at the very least, you were a big enough piece of crap that he left you, one of the two. And I hate to put it that way, like, but just from this whole situation, it seems like everyone involved has, like, crap brain. Like, my gosh. Thomas, a safety... Okay. Yeah, don't need... That's the end. So that's the end of that article. Huh. You know what? Let's do some sleuthing here. Not charges. How about this? Let's just see here. Okay, that was from that article. I mean, this is just... Man, this has just been an insane situation for 2 years, apparently. I mean, that was April 2020. Okay, so this is January 2021. Let's take this. So that was January. So yeah, so that's January 2021. So I mean, basically they can't go like a full year without something crazy happening. Man, I don't care about. Man, everybody's obsessed with people's like net worth. Like, I don't understand that. Like. How about... Sorry, I'm doing some online sleuthing right now. But this story is just fascinating to me for some reason. Well, I'll tell you why. One of my weird, like, hobbies... I say hobbies. Like, one of the weird things that entertains me is I love listening to, like, the stories of crazy people from, like, the world or internet. Like Count Dankula's series, Absolute Mad Lads, or like just some of these nutty people from like the internet who just lose their minds, like, and just, you know, are just off the wall crazy, like people who like ruin their own lives, or like people with just crazy vendettas that they go to extreme lengths for. Like, that stuff fascinates me. And I guess this is just another one of those things. Was Nina Thomas... had it a second ago before I explained why I'm like so fascinated with this. Found guilty. Let's just use that. So once again, that so I'm not seeing anything and maybe I just need to keep going further, but I'm not seeing anything huh. I'm not seeing anything about whether or not that case is going forward, which is interesting. I'm Let's try this. Oh, maybe I need to put a question mark at the end. Let's see. Once again, it's the same stuff. Like, I'm literally seeing nothing other than the initial stories. I'm not seeing, or from that event. There's this January decision. There's like the divorce filing. And then there's the latest incident, but I'm not seeing anything about like her charges. I mean, it's kind of bizarre. You would think, I mean, at this point, it's been 2 years since that incident. You would think there would have been some kind of movement in that case to some degree. And I'm not seeing, I mean, other than that January thing. So let's go ahead and move to this now. Okay. Oh, great, the Daily Mail. What is property tax? Some of the stuff that shows up on these things. Okay. Ex-NFL All-Pro safety Earl Thomas is hit with restraining order by estranged wife, 31, after he threatened her and her family. Oh, let me check the chat real quick. I'm sorry. Okay, we good. Let me take a drink here. Whew. Throat got a little dry. Threatened her and her family in a drunken rage and sent intimate videos of them to her parents. You know, he could get a revenge pornography. Could have gotten a charge from that. Let's see. This is just wild. Judge grants Nina Thomas, 31, request for restraining order against her husband, Earl Thomas, 31. These are like bullet points. Earl Thomas, 31, is an ex-All-Pro free safety of the Seattle Seahawks, Baltimore Ravens. I like the extra detail of which safety position he played. More than ESPN did. Good on you, Daily Mail, actually. On December 26th, Earl allegedly flew into a drunken rage and threatened Nina. Incident took place at the home of her parents the day after Christmas in Orange, Texas. So they're both from Orange. Or at least their families are both from Orange. Earl threw his fist into one of the windows and bled on the front porch of the home. So this is while they were going through a divorce. Like, the divorce had already been filed. So why were they both at her parents' house? Earl threw his fist into one of the windows and bled on the front porch of the home. That is a quote, I guess, from the documents. According to TMZ, Earl has denied allegations made by his wife in court papers, which apparently the court did not believe. Nina also alleges Earl told her to suck my D in front of one of their children. Earl is also alleged to have sent explicit videos of him and his wife being intimate. Video was sent to a group chat that included Nina's parents and the kid's nanny. Earl allegedly sent a video of him and another woman to Nina and her family. In November, Nina filed for divorce from Earl, citing adultery as the grounds. Last April, Nina held Earl at gunpoint after she caught him cheating, police said. So that's like an overview type thing. Oh, I guess it's an overview of the article. You know what? That's kind of nice of the Daily Mail. Hey, here's an overview of the events. Here's the actual article. Let's see. Former NFL All-Pro safety Earl Thomas was reportedly hit with a restraining order. Or I guess that's the overview of the events that led to this story. Man, you know what? I'm going to give claps to the Daily Mail. That's really handy for readers. Man, imagine a journalist, if we can call, I guess we can call this journalism. Imagine, like, a journalist and, like, a journalistic outfit, you know, trying to help people actually understand a flow of events. That's very reader-friendly. Former NFL All-Pro safety Earl Thomas reportedly hit with a restraining order after he allegedly flew into a drunken rage and punched a glass window while threatening his wife and her family on the morning after Christmas. Nina Thomas, who was arrested by police in Austin, Texas last April after she allegedly held him at gunpoint after discovering him naked in a bedroom with other women, described the alleged December 26th incident in court documents. Now, that's a different way of putting it, with other women, not another woman, which, I remember when that story hit, this is something I didn't touch on. Allegedly, both he and his brother were in bed with the other two women. And I'm just saying, why? And I'm not going to get any more detailed than that, or about my thoughts on that. Nina Thomas, who was arrested, Earl Thomas, the 31-year-old former Seattle Seahawks and Baltimore Ravens free safety, has denied the allegations made by his estranged wife, who filed for divorce this past November, according to TMZ. Court apparently didn't believe him. So remember, this is happening, or the court stuff, this article was like midway through January of 2021. So this is a bit over a year ago. Nina also alleges that Earl sent explicit videos of him and his wife being intimate to a group text that included her parents and their nanny. He also circulated similar videos of himself and another woman as a way of embarrassing Nina, it is alleged. That's... Both of those things could very well be sent... Like, both of those things are breaking the law in multiple ways. Like, sending people unsolicited pornography literally is a crime. That's like sexual harassment or worse. DailyMail.com has reached out to Earl. That's Earl and his ex-wife with their 3 kids. Luckily, they blurred out the faces of the kids, or at least 3. 3. Aw. Cute dog. Anyway, let's see here. That was her booking photo. Okay, these are a bunch of photos. I guess these are... Yeah, so these are photos attached to, like, different blurbs about events. Let's see here. Oh, here's the incident report. From... This is the incident report filed December 26th of 2020 when this event here allegedly happened. Incident report on December 26, 2020 at 10:23 a.m. Officers were dispatched to Cherry Avenue, or I believe that's Cherry, or Cheery Avenue. I don't know if that's an I or an R that got smudged or something. Cheery Avenue in reference to a disturbance. Let me see here. Some of this was cut off. To a disturbance, or officers arrived on scene and advised the... Sorry, because it's smaller now. Is there a way I can... Wish there was a way I could, like, blow this image up. Oh, wait. Let me open it. If I can open the image in a new tab, maybe... Let's see. Okay, here we go. So that'll make it. Now I can read it. Arrived on the scene and advised the male suspect advised the male suspect was leaving in a 2017 Mercedes. Okay, yeah, advised, like, as in he told dispatch that the male suspect was leaving. The officers on scene advised the black male was bleeding from his right arm and was headed to the local emergency room. Officers met the victim, Earl Thomas III, at the local ER, where he advised he put his hand through a window, causing a cut to his arm. Mr. Thomas was treated and released. Mr. Thomas reported no crime was committed to cause his injuries. Huh. Well, it's hard to say that she... To me, it seems a little rich to say that she potentially lied if, you told the police exactly what happened and what she said happened, although maybe with not some of the details. According to court documents, Nina Thomas agreed to spend Christmas with her husband at her parents' home in Orange, Texas, so that they could celebrate the holiday together with their 3 young children. Nina alleges that Earl chose to stay out all night drinking during the holiday. When he came home the next morning, Earl, who had been sending harassing text messages to Nina overnight, arrived at the house visibly intoxicated, it is alleged. According to court papers, Earl told Nina to suck my D right in front of their daughter. When Nina went outside to her car to get something for the children, Earl is alleged to have followed her. Nina alleges that Earl screamed at her in the front yard. She then locked Earl out of the home, according to court filings. Earl then lost his temper, Nina alleges, saying that her husband was irate and beating on the windows of the house. Nina says in court papers that she called Earl's mother in an attempt to get him to calm down, but to no avail. When Earl's mother arrived, her son was still in front of the house, screaming obscenities and clearly enraged, it is alleged. Nina claims Earl punched through one of the house's windows. He was bleeding so profusely that blood spilled onto the front porch, it is alleged. Police were called to the home. Earl was taken to a hospital where he was treated for his injuries. According to TMZ, police questioned Earl at the hospital. There he told investigators that he put his hand through the window. Though Earl, see, that was an editation miss, it seems, reported no crime was committed to cause his injuries. Oh, never mind. That was just the way this font has the that single apostrophe. Weird. DailyMail.com has reached out to the Orange, Texas Police Department for information on the case. As of Thursday, the case was filed as inactive. In court documentation, Nina claims Earl later threatened to come back to my parents' house to burn all of my things if I came back to our house in Austin and to kick my... Okay, let's read this again. In court documents, Nina claims Earl later threatened to come back to my parents' house to burn all of my things if I came back to our house in Austin and to kick my ass. I mean, what a classy guy. I mean, this is just incredible. Dude. Nina also alleges that Earl sent an intimate video of him and herself in a group text to her parents and to her nanny, which the quote is sent an intimate video of him and me in a group chat to my parents and to our nanny. To further torment me, Earl sent me an intimate video of himself and another woman to my phone, Nina alleges in court documents. I mean, this is just like... I mean, there's so many laws being broken here. Nina claims that this was the latest in a string of incidents involving her and her husband. Court papers cite an alleged incident from June 2020 when she and Earl were visiting the Golden Nugget Casino in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Oh, here we go. So, now wait, June 2020. This would have been around the time where her court date from like the April 2020 incident where she put a gun to his head. This is like, this would have been within less than 2 months later, Nina alleges that Earl was acting belligerent at the casino. In order to avoid a brush with security, Nina says she managed to convince Earl to return to the hotel room with her. Once there, however, Nina says that Earl decided to direct his anger towards me and started mumbling insults and calling me names. Nina alleges that Earl became violent. At one point, Earl threw me into the bathtub and turned the hot water on me, Nina states in court papers. Nina claims that she sustained bruising to my torso and back that required medical attention to ease the pain caused to my back. Court papers also recount an incident from October 9th, 2020, Nina's 31st birthday, in which Nina alleges that Earl flew into a fit of anger and called me a B after she left him to meet her girlfriends for brunch. According to court documents, Earl grabbed Nina by the back of her neck and threw food and drinks at her while hurling insults and telling me that I am worthless. So it's like swapping from, like it's adding a quote in. That's why it changed from second tense or, well, if you're talking about someone else, is it second or third? Whatever. That's why it changed to first person at the end. Need to brush up on my English, apparently. Nina says that she has photographs showing the bruises left on her body. The same day, Earl posted a photograph of himself and his wife on Instagram. The caption on the post was a love letter to Nina. Man, this sounds like someone with a mental illness. Actually, it kind of reminds me of how the, who was this psychiatrist or psychologist, Dr. Curry, I believe, from the Amber Heard case when talking about Amber. And like her diagnosis for her, which I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to pretend that just because some of these things line up that's, I'm not diagnosing Earl Thomas. So please don't sue me. I don't have the ability to do that. It just, for a layman, it kind of looks interesting. Earl wrote, "Just want to take the time to wish the woman who I can talk to in the middle of the night, who has accepted who I am through it all, and has helped me grow in so many ways. I hope you enjoy what I planned for you, bae. 31 is going to be your best year yet. I love you, wife. Happy 31st, Miss Thomas. Hope you enjoy what I planned for you, bae." With some of the other stuff that's happened, that almost sounds like a threat. Nearly 2 weeks later, Nina claims she and Earl were at a Dallas hotel drinking when Earl started mumbling rude and obscene things to me. Once again, switch to a quote in there. Started mumbling rude and obscene things to me. Maybe you, the two of you, shouldn't have been drinking. Like, maybe you should have noticed that at that point. All right, that's not important. Nina, fearing that things would escalate, started to pack up her things to leave when she claims Earl grabbed me by the ponytail, threw me onto the bed, and he pinned my body down. Nina says that she managed to extricate herself and flee. Days later, she filed for divorce. In the divorce papers, Nina cited adultery as grounds for ending the 4-year marriage, TMZ Sports reported. Which, they were married for 4 years at that point, but I feel like they had been together for a significantly longer. Nina's petition for divorce describes a relationship with her husband that has deteriorated to the point where there's no reasonable expectation of reconciliation. She asked the court to grant her primary custody of the couple's 3 children, which, considering everything's happened, probably would happen, especially in the state of Texas. Well, actually, that depends now that... Because I don't think that's even been finalized yet, a year and a half after it was filed. Nina also demanded that Earl be given limited access to the kids until he takes a parenting course and can show evidence that he is able to care for the children for an extended period of time. On April 13th, Earl was held at gunpoint by his wife after she discovered him naked in bed with several other women. TNC Sports. I don't think it was several. I think it was 2. It was 2 women and his brother. Just, gosh, so weird. And that was on April 13th of 2020. Nina confronted her husband at an Airbnb rental in Austin, Texas, according to police. Now, wait a second. An Airbnb rental. Well, that's a lot different than what, ESPN said. ESPN had said a vacation home. Austin Statesman called it a rental home. Airbnb rental here, which would also, rental home. An enraged Nina allegedly pointed a 9mm Beretta. That's more information we've gotten in any of the others. At Earl's head before he managed to wrestle the weapon away from her. Now here's the other thing, because there's some details I feel like I'm remembering in the moment. I believe it was his gun. I'm not saying she didn't bring it to or take it with her or whatever, but I almost remember 2 years ago when that whole incident happened that it was his gun. An onlooker inside the rental home, who we know to be her friend, recorded a video of the incident which showed Nina pointing the gun at Earl's head from less than a foot away. And you can clearly see, or it can clearly be seen, that Nina's finger was on the trigger and the safety is disengaged. Earl wrestled the gun away from Nina before she struck him in the nose. See, and they didn't state that in the Austin American Statesman thing, that it said that she clearly punched him in the nose. It didn't say that he wrestled the gun away from her. One of Nina's friends was allegedly holding a knife. Police arrived shortly thereafter and arrested Nina and her 2 pals. Earl was not taken into custody. Of course, she eventually got a hold of that knife. Got a hold of the knife. Let's see here. These are photos from their wedding. Man, this one's long. Police were called to the scene and Nina was arrested for burglary. Was arrested for burglary of a residence with intent to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. She was subsequently released from custody after posting $25,000 bond. As her attorney, I am here to declare that my client unequivocally and categorically denies these allegations, and we look forward to our day in court when we can clear her good name, Nina's Houston-based attorney Jonathan Goins said. DailyMail.com has reached out to Goins for comment. Nina was scheduled to have a court hearing in September, but the COVID-19 pandemic has created a backlog and was delayed, that has delayed court proceedings throughout Travis County, Texas. I am scared of Earl and believe that there is a clear and present danger, Nina says in court papers, asking the judge for a restraining order for fear that both me and the children will be harmed. Which, a little over a year later, seems like she had a pretty accurate assessment of that. The judge granted Nina's request last week, ordering Earl to stay at least 400 feet away from the couple's home in Austin, as well as the children's school. A virtual court hearing is scheduled for later this month, that month being January 2021. Earl and Nina are high school sweethearts who tied the knot in 2016. The couple shared 3 young children. Let's see. Don't care. Need that. Let's see. Don't care. And I guess that's everything at this point. So to recap what we have the craziness that is Earl Thomas's last 2 years of, well, his marriage and divorce proceedings and everything. This all started in April of 2020 when he decided to rent an Airbnb with his brother and invite 2, women over, one of which he allegedly had been seeing, according to what he told police, for 3 to 4 months while working on his relationship with his wife. Once again, like I said earlier, seems kind of hard to work on your relationship with your wife when you're cheating on her actively. Like, what are you trying to do? Make yourself, like, it's like you're equivocating for your stupidly poor decision making and unfaithfulness. She shows up because of him posting stuff on his Snapchat account like a moron. I believe it was his and not his brother's. Either way, when she gets there at 1 a.m., I guess they broke... I mean, it sounds like they broke into the home, but, it didn't state whether they actually caused any damage to the place. Like, to the door. Like, that wasn't stated in any of the stuff. She then confronts him with a handgun, which she had taken the magazine out of, not realizing that there was one in the chamber. Either because she had cocked one in the chamber or it was already cocked and she didn't know about it or whatever. Disengaged safety had her finger on the trigger. So this is a loaded firearm. Regardless if it's loaded or not, doesn't matter, in my opinion. But none of the articles stated whether it, she had it, but it didn't say, like, whether she carried it there, whether she picked up his gun, or whatever, which I'm assuming, once again, this obviously would have been his handgun. Just, did she bring it from their house, or did she get that? Because I remember reading something in the moment that, from what I feel like I remember, so this is not a fact, I thought it was his gun that was there. I thought she picked up the gun there. But once again, that's not a fact. So I probably shouldn't even say it. She then gets into an argument with him, eventually points the gun at his head while they're arguing at the top of the stairs, which is on video. He then wrestles the gun away from her, and she then punches him in the face. Eventually, she grabs a knife from that apparently one of her friends had and proceeds to chase him around where they are found by police when they arrive. Thomas with the gun, but obviously not pointing it at her or threatening her with it. Just a crazy scenario. That was in 2020. Also, one of the women who was with her was the ex-wife. One of her friends was the ex-wife of Earl Thomas's brother, who was also there, and she apparently got into some kind of altercation with him. As you do, I guess. So this precipitated, eventually, Nina Thomas filing for divorce in November of 2020, citing adultery and as the major cause. Of course, in documents from January of court documents from January 2021, which would have been, the civil court that was handling the divorce proceedings. She claimed a bunch of incidences. Well, I guess in these filings during this time, incidences from dating back to June of 2020 after this, where he became abusive and violent towards her. But also, it seems like, once again, this kind of bipolar or borderline type, he gets upset and then loses it. This is sometimes why you would see, like in the Amber Heard case, psychologist Dr. Curry, who had worked with her or done an evaluation of her, considered her or diagnosed her with both bipolar and histrionic personality disorders. Sometimes those, or a lot of times from what I understand in my research, once again, layman, I'm not an expert, so do not take everything I say about this as fact. I would look it up for yourself to fact check me. But a lot of mental illnesses, like mental illness is not just like cookie cutter, everybody with borderline personality is exactly the same. There's a lot of people who suffer from multiple mental health disorders at once. It's not only is it not uncommon, it's fairly common. And just because this is true, just because you don't check every box doesn't mean you don't check enough boxes, to be diagnosed. So it's just she outlined a pattern of behavior that would lead people to believe, at the very least, Earl Thomas is an abuser. However, if you are not privy to these, and I was not a witness to any of these things, I can't say anything in the affirmative of that. But all of these things, Christmas of 2020, they had an incident the day after where Earl Thomas had decided to spend the evening out away from the family, drinking, comes in that morning drunk, is belligerent, and, starts hurling insults, acting inappropriately in front of their children. And she decides to leave to grab something for the kids out of the car from outside. He follows her. They get into an argument. She decides to lock him out of the house. He eventually starts beating on windows, breaks window, injures himself. Police are called. They arrive as he is leaving to go to the hospital. They eventually get to him at the hospital ER. They question him. He admits to putting his hand through a window, but claims that he did not commit any crimes. No crime was committed in the act of him getting injured. Pretty sure destruction of private property is a crime, but, whatever. Man, it must be nice to get away with stuff because you're rich. Anyway, so this incident leads the court to grant a restraining order against Earl Thomas, and a decision that eventually, which this is January 2021. This decision, he was not allowed within 400 feet of their Austin home. He was not. Or their children's school. He was only allowed to contact her through a co-parenting app, and only to talk about things to do with dropping off and picking up the children, and arranging times that he could spend with the children, which had like parameters set by the court. for how he could do that. Which leads into this weekend, as reports are out that as of April 27th, a warrant had been issued for the arrest of Earl Thomas, whom his agent, or his lawyer and agent, has not apparently had contact with. He has attempted to. He left him a message about the warrant for his arrest. Don't know who you are. A warrant had been issued for his arrest. But as of, and I mean, like, we're hearing about this now. Like, this story came out over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. To this point, he's not in custody. It's been 2 weeks since that warrant was issued. So as of now, we are completely unaware, or at the very least, as of Saturday, I know for sure, or from the readings, he was not in custody. Haven't seen an update to that yet. Meaning Earl Thomas is he's a wanted man. And should know about it. So the reason a warrant was issued for his arrest, getting there. Reason the warrant was issued is, as I talked about earlier, at the very start of this whole going into this rabbit hole, he sent threatening text messages to his ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, unless the marriage is finally, or the divorce has been finalized finally, saying, or on April 18th, saying that he had bought 2 handguns, and that, and a text, and this is a quote, waiting hand and foot, or it was something weird, man, because it was such broken, busted grammar. I'm going to not do the full quote, or not say the full quote, and say that the end part of the quote said, kick your ass. That's what it was. Waiting on hand and foot while I'ma kick your ass. There you go. Then April 19th, the next day, sent her a text message saying, I hope you and him and the kid, or I hope you and him in the car with the kids and y'all drive off a cliff. Later that day, April 19th of this year, stating, or another text stating, I'm going to let my mama and my cousins poison they ass, referring to his and Nina's children. Nina Thomas also went on as part of, also went on to allege that he had been texting her, or he has refused to download the co-parenting app and has spent the last year texting her instead. And I don't know, or I can't remember. There's seen no more confirmation of, or there were no examples of him threatening her at any other time. But I think, or you could read it as in there might have been other threats during this time. But that is why Earl Thomas is a wanted man. And we spent an hour and a half on that one, or on that rabbit hole. So, sorry if I bored you, but man, what a story. A very unfortunate one. And I just really pray that Earl Thomas is found and gets whatever help he needs, and that people keep him away from his ex-wife and children. I mean, talking about poisoning your kids. And wanting you, I say Cliff, Road. Wasn't Cliff. He said Road in the like, I hope you and him and the kids drive off the road. I can't imagine wishing harm on your kids. Wanting to harm your own kids. Like, I mean, Earl Thomas is despicable. Like, but it is interesting that it's been 2 weeks since all this, or since the warrant was filed, and he's not in custody, and his lawyer who's handling everything for him doesn't know where he, or, you know, he's messaged him, but he's apparently not gotten a response. It makes me wonder if Earl Thomas has done something to himself since this. Yeah, hope that's not the case, but there's also a part of me it's like, well, if you're willing to wish harm upon your kids, maybe, you know, maybe we shouldn't care what happens to you, but, you know, you really don't hope for the worst in situations. And another point on that. So the house that he and Nina owns, apparently there's over $96,000 in missed taxes and other stuff associated with the house that have not been paid. And it's interesting that his agent and lawyer, Mr. Dolezal, is unaware and surprised at why these things wouldn't be paid and why they wouldn't get taken care of. And that they should be shortly. It's like, if you're not handling Earl Thomas's business affairs, he's obviously doesn't seem to be intelligent enough to himself. Unless there's someone else who handles that stuff for him other than his agent and lawyer. He had to tell someone not to do it, or if he was handling it himself, like, he cut it off. He's still responsible for that as the owner of the house. It's really strange. The very sad, destructive spiral of Earl Thomas. With that being said, I will be up and I will do a show at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I promise. And then I'll be back at my normal 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time show tomorrow as well. We'll see what topics we get into. There was a UFC pay-per-view over the weekend. Might talk about that tomorrow. So, anyway, that's it for the show. I hope y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Please follow me at HunterK13 on Twitter, at HunterKing1313 on Instagram. I post like when I'm going live or updates, previews for the shows on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm planning on starting or potentially doing some small, like shorter video content on Instagram. So with that being said, hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.